everyone, it's Robin Cavallaro with the Robin Cavallaro Group of Remax 100. And today I got Brenda Mullen with me. So she is badass out of San Antonio. And the reason why I wanted to interview her is not only was she a spouse like me, but she's retired Army. Go figure. So yes. So how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
A little crazy, a little crazy. It's yeah, but we got this. It's all good. All good. And I'm loving this weather because it's like this one freakish day where we get all of our windows open, no humidity, no heat, just perfect.
Oh,
So
we don't keep our windows open in San Antonio. It's too hot. We need the AC right now, so that's all there is to it.
nah, that's a little much for me. So I like my AC open, off and the windows open. So hey, you and I met, I want to say back in 21, when it was either in Orlando or the first elite retreat that I got to go to. And
I think it might have been a late retreat. Could have been
yeah,
Orlando. Did you go to
Amelia
R4 in
Island.
Orlando?
Yes, yeah.
You could have
And
met.
but I was like, she's cool. But I'm a little scared of her too. She's
No,
very
you
cool.
weren't. Lies. You're lying.
Yeah. So how did you go first of all, where did you grow up? Um,
Well, I grew up all over the place, really. I was a military brat, but my mom ended up being a single parent, and we ended up in New Mexico when I was about 10 years old, Albuquerque, New Mexico. So, I was when I grew up, my mom basically told me, "You're going to get out of my house at 18." We loved each other, but she was just like, you're
bye-bye.
not, you're not
Yeah.
hanging out or whatever. And so I did. I got out of the home, moved in with some roommates, and then of course that didn't work out. It never works out when you move in with your friends for the first time. And so moved back home, and my mom begged me to join the military because we're kind of a military family. And so I did. I joined when I was 17. My mom sold, and had to wait to go in on my 18th birthday.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Yeah, I grew up around all these people in the military, but I joked that I would have been like Private Benjamin
oh
because
no, yeah.
yeah,
That was
uh,
my nickname in the Army because I weighed like 110 soaking wet. I had to gain weight to join. You couldn't tell now.
oh my gosh.
But yeah, and we had the big, we had the steel pots um, that never fit me. So every time, I don't have any pictures or anything at that time, but so yeah. And yeah, my drill sergeants used to just make fun of me because, when we go through the line in basic training, they would yell at everybody to eat like very quickly. It wasn't, you didn't get in to have, I mean, we got a little longer time, than the guys did. The guys had to get up and, I mean, they'd be eating in the, the drop your plate line or
Oh my
whatever.
gosh.
My drill sergeant would be, up, down to people who were, he didn't want them to eat too much and be like, everybody give your dessert to Roxon, and that was my last name. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was many moon ago, of course. So,
Yeah, I remember when I realized you had been in the Army is like when I see this picture on Facebook of you in a tank.
mhm.
And I'm like, holy
Well, that's when they sent us out to Iraq. You know what I mean? So that
yeah.
was when I was in Iraq. So
So were
yeah,
you married then?
yes, yep. They sent both of me and my husband to Iraq at the same time. So then we had to. So that was when it first. Like I was telling you before we started this, it's hard for me to remember years. And of course, this has been a little while ago. I retired back in 2007. So it's been
Okay.
a couple of years.
Been a
So,
few. Been a
you
few.
know,
Yeah.
so, forgive my memory, but I was in, during 9/11, I was already deployed to Korea for a year doing my hardship tour there.
Oh my gosh.
So when we got back, so, my husband got to take care of the kids and, kind of be the military spouse, although he was still active, what I mean,
Yeah.
obviously. And so he ended up having to deploy a little bit to Bright Star in Egypt during that time frame while I was gone. 9/11, had happened. I came back from 9/11 came back. We were back at Fort Carson for maybe a year, and we were supposed to be PCSing or leaving. changing duty stations to go to Germany. And both of my unit stop moved me so that I could go to Iraq.
Holy cow.
Yeah, because our furniture wasn't gone yet. Good old army.
That must have been a little scary to be in Iraq during all that mess.
Well, it was, I mean, we didn't really know really what was happening there. You know, when we first got over there, it wasn't as violent yet. You know what I mean? Like we teased
Yeah.
around like we felt like we were on a national or an NTC rotation, and those people that have been in the army would understand that. It's a national training center is in
Okay.
California, and that's in you know, the armpit of California, Barstow, which I ended up actually being stationed at, you know, afterwards. Um, but we would go from base to base for whatever reason. And then when we hit Balad is when we first got my unit, we first got our first mortar attack. And then that's when we were like, oh shit, excuse my language, but this is real.
I,
So
I can't imagine. It's like I've talked to clients as you hear firing going on when they're over there.
yeah.
And I'm like, don't you need to get off the phone? They're like, no, we're good. So how long did it take you to go from, oh my God, I'm ducking to, no big deal? Or did you ever?
No, there was never a time for that. And remember, back when I went to Iraq, they didn't have all that. Like people didn't have cell phones. Cell phone. God, I feel like I'm 1,000 years old, but when I say this, we didn't. There was no cell phones then. You know what I
No.
mean? I got to call my kids on my. I think on one of their birthdays or whatever. My sergeant major had this satellite phone, this huge
One of
phone.
those giant ones.
Yes, or whatever. And I was so excited because I got to call them on it. You know what I mean? And then, so we didn't have like, you know, the people that are stationed there now have cell phones and internet, I mean,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. We had created internet while we were there, you know, the IT guys or whatever, you know, our
Yeah.
comp guys then, you know, but that was dial-up internet. I mean, it, you know, we're talking the old days, you know, we didn't have any of that stuff. So, and my
Yeah,
husband
I
and I
can't
were out
imagine
there at
being
the
a,
same time. We weren't in the same unit. So what he would do, his unit would let him take messages, and he was part of the I think the third ACR. I don't remember. You know, back then, his unit commander would let him take messages back to our base so that we could visit one another. And so he would come and visit me.
oh, that was cool.
Yeah, no, well, my first sergeant was a jerk during the time, so that was, you know, but whatever. But he was able to come and see me, I think, twice.
Holy cow. See, I can't imagine all that because it's like during that time I was dating my ex and
Mhm.
he was on the Guam. So it's like I'm sending him letters and you had to number every letter because they would get like a package at a time. And that way he knew the order to read them in. And,
Yeah,
but you know, we didn't have kids then. So there was no issue with, you know, not talking to daddy and all that
yeah.
fun stuff. So I can't imagine being a mom on the other side of the world away from her babies.
It was
Um,
horrible. Well, I remember I had left like on Korea, 9/11 happened,
yeah.
got back and left, I mean, almost like a year later. Like I got to be home with the kids. And then a year later, we're dropping them off in New Mexico with my family there
Wow.
so that we could leave. And it was, you know, and we didn't know when we would, there was no like, they don't tell you you're going to go. We thought maybe we'd be there for, you know, a couple of months. But when they told us we would be there for a year, it was pretty daunting. You know, my family was not
It-
happy.
that's some really good family members. Um, yeah.
Well, they were not happy. They were, you know, actually they were very, very upset with me. You know, at the one time they told me I was a terrible mother for leaving my kids and not and just not leaving the army. You know, which
Well,
was yeah.
it, it's not like a regular job where you just show up and go, you know what? I don't think I really want to do
No,
this again.
exactly. Yeah,
Here's the
exactly.
resignation letter.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
not. You know, yeah. They were really they were not pleased with me.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, so I had to deal with that, deal with some combat. You know,
Just
it's not.
stuck every now and then.
Yeah. Oh no, that was crazy. I did come back with a little, you know, they say teeny bit of PTSD, but
Oh my God. Yeah, I come back with a lot of it. So
Mhm.
did you meet Mike when you were in the army or?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I met Mike. So I'm 5.5 years older than him. So I met Mike when I was at Fort Stewart, Georgia, and he was an E4 and I was an E5, so that was a no-no. But he was cute. I was it's like 21. I was older. I already had 2 kids. I
Yeah.
was a single parent, and he. I mean, I really liked him. I remember my friends would tease me, like, "Who do you like?" And I'm like, "Mullen," and they're like, "Well, everybody likes him." And I'm like, "Okay." So, anyways, so at the time, it was kind of looked down upon, but we ended up, getting married. Basically just because. Well, obviously we love one another, but
Right.
it was looked at as fraternization too. We were in the same unit. So,
Yeah, I remember seeing that with guys that were on the Guam, or they ended up going to another ship, but we had met him through there. One was an officer and his wife was enlisted. So they either had to get married or face consequences. And they're still married to this day. So God bless them.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
neither of us were officers. I was actually the E5 and he was the E4. Later on, he ended up outranking me for a little while, which is some BS, but that's okay.
Yeah. But you're like, I outrank you on every day. So we're good. So how did you go from Army to Remax?
Oh goodness. Well, so when I was retired, I have always I'm not gonna say always. When I was an E4, and actually when I was in Hinesville, Georgia, Fort Stewart or whatever, my
Yeah.
squad leader had told me, um, buy a house. So I listened to him. I bought a house. And so so each subsequent duty station, I would buy a house, and then so real estate always seemed to it intrigued me. I thought, oh, maybe it's something I can do when I got out, of the military. So when I was retiring over here at Fort Sam, I decided, after that bouncing around the Korea, the Iraq, coming back, we went to Fort Stewart, or not Fort, we went to Fort Irwin. That's where the National Training Center is. Mike went back out to Iraq almost as soon as we got there. And then he came back, then we transferred again to Fort Sam. And then I was like, well, I'm done after this. I had hit, I put in my retirement 20 years and did 21 years. I'm like, enough for me, all the, and all the stuff, that comes with it. So that's when I decided to start getting my real estate license. Now, Remax is not my first brokerage. I mean, Remax is my 5th brokerage and my longest one. So I got into real estate like right as I was retiring, and then my sergeant major, one of my sergeant majors said, "You can do that part time. Come train Army medics." You know,
Hmm.
and so when you're used to getting a paycheck every 2 weeks and having stuff
Yeah.
covered, it's a little bit a little bit
They-
daunting to go from that to real estate, where hey, if you don't sell a home, nothing. So
Yeah.
my first brokerage was actually Century 21. So
Okay. My first one was one of their sister brands, ERA. So,
yeah, yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's
I
like,
always knew for some reason that I wanted to be a Remax agent. Um, I don't know why.
same. Yeah. And yeah, because I know I've been with them now for 10 years. How long have you been with them?
12,
So you got me beat. Yeah.
12. Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm older too, but that's okay. But yeah, I did. I mean, real estate for 17, but Remax for 12. So like I said, I have 5 different brokerages, and I went full time when I was with Remax because I did, good government job for about 5 years.
Okay. So we're similar path because I started in January of '07 and
Yeah.
we had just gotten stationed in Connecticut. And I decided that, I've now bought 3 houses. I've sold 2. I'm an expert.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, how little did I really know?
Yeah,
So,
you never really know until you know, you know what I mean? And that's like I honestly had no idea um the money I can make. I know everybody like, why did you join real estate to make money? Or, I'm a people person, whatever. When you join, I did not know because I didn't grow up around real estate. I just bought homes and I thought it would just be interesting to help people do that. And my biggest, I actually sold my home in Hinesville while I was in Iraq. And I made no money. I should have had 10 years worth of equity on that home and I made no money and I didn't understand why. And so that,
wow.
part of my, I remember my realtor telling me via email or whatever, however we communicated back then. basically that I had to pay, I had to pay the VA's, person's closing costs as the seller. I was required to, and I didn't know why, you know what I mean? And so that may have been the fact, but I didn't know why. And so my agent there just didn't really explain that to me. So that was a lot of part of it, me wanting to help people, find home. That's what I do. Anyway, is to help him to explain the process and why we earn the dollars we earn. So
It's definitely not an easy business.
no.
It's a little bit easier than getting shot at over in Iraq, but hey, just
Well,
want
that's different. It's different. Same, different.
yeah. Well, it is like, but you've been on both sides of the coin as far as military goes. You've been active duty while your husband was more the spouse, even though he was active duty, and then you were more the spouse while he was deployed.
Right,
And then you've had your kids growing up all over everywhere.
right.
And so
Yeah.
how many times did y'all actually PCS um throughout? Or is this one of those things that we need an abacus to calculate?
Well, I mean, let's see. So he and I met at Hinesville, Georgia. So, and then we PCS from there to Colorado Springs. Loved it there. We thought we were going to live there forever. We really did. From Colorado Springs is where I went to Korea and then came back. And then we came back. Then from there, we went to Iraq. Wait, see, I told you I was going to mess that all up. We went to Iraq, came back, PCS to Fort Irwin, California. And this is us together as a family. I had previous duty stations before then. When we went to Fort Irwin, he went back to Iraq for a year. He came back, and then we PCS to Fort Sam. So then, and that's where I retired. So 5, 6 in between that time, moving and
Oh my gosh.
things like
So
that.
is Fort Sam in San Antonio?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, Fort Sam Houston and San Antonio. We're known as military city here. So we have Randolph Air Force Base, Lackland and Kelly Air Force Bases. Fort Sam, we got the Wounded Warrior, and BAMC, or now they call it SAMC. It'll always be BAMC to me, which is Brooke Army Medical Center. So tons of medical people here.
And see, that blows my mind because it's like I didn't think of San Antonio as being that much of a military centered area. And so we had gotten to talking. And then you're working with one of my favorite people right now. Is there in a house down there?
For the referral, they are awesome. They're wonderful people.
I know. I feel like they're more like my child. It's like, they're such a sweet couple. And they're just like you and Mike, where they're both active duty and they have 2 beautiful daughters. So it's fun to see them being able to stay together and not being forced not having one of them be forced to either get out or split their family up.
Right. Well, the Army's been, and typically the military can be pretty good with dual military, and where you get assignment preferences where you can go together. You know what I mean?
Right.
Depending on what your job is or whatever. So that was okay. So we were always able to kind of go together, which was nice, even to Iraq. Anyway.
It's like, let's take a tour of the castle and explore the
But they've gotten much, much better with families now, though. I mean, much better. I mean, back when I was when I was having my babies, I got 6 weeks convalescent leave. Meaning I got 6 weeks home with the baby, and then I had to be back at work. And now active duty females get, I think, 3 months.
Wow.
Which is nice, convalescent leave or whatever. And now the dads also get another 12 weeks. And they don't have to take it at the same time. Beforehand, dads didn't get anything. They, good luck. You can take a couple days, but
yeah, my ex took, I think, a week off each time the babies were born. And that was it. It's like, well, with Morgan, he wasn't active duty yet. It was in between law school and getting commissioned in the Coast Guard.
Right.
But with Brent, I think he literally had a week off. And then he's going back to work, and I'm at home with a almost 2-year-old and a newborn.
Yeah.
And I'm like, blah, 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 blah. I'm
Yeah.
like, this seemed like a really good idea at the time.
Yeah.
And so, but you can't send them back.
Yeah. And I
Um,
also had to, yeah, you had to be ready, prepared to deploy, even if you came back 6 weeks later, it didn't matter, the Army, but now I think they're just a little bit more conscious. They're not going to be perfect. When you join the military, you join to go to war. That's your
yeah.
job, you know what I mean? And so you need to have family care plans. You need to have those things, in existence, regardless. But I think they're just a little bit more cognizant of it now,
Yeah. Well, the 90s and early 2000s was a totally different time too,
Oh yeah.
because we had all the mess in Iraq and then you throw in Afghanistan, 9/11,
Mhm.
and they kind of needed every warm body with a pulse that could pull a trigger over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is sad, but so what is it that y'all like so much about San Antonio that made you stay there instead of going closer to family or somewhere else?
Well, again, I retired before Mike did.
Yeah.
And so he also, again, I'm older than him, so it took him a little bit longer. When we got to Fort Sam and I decided to retire, he finally went to PA school because we were both, E7s. And he was the NCOIC of the PA school at Fort Sam Houston. And I told him, I said, the whole reason you joined the military is so you can become a PA, and we're here at the school, so now you need to
So what is a PA?
physician assistant. I think
Okay.
they call it physician associates now or something like that, but physician assistant. So,
So he's basically like a doctor in training almost.
he's not
Yeah.
in training. I mean, he's
Yeah.
he's a level down from a doctor. So you got physician assistant, nurse practitioner, or whatever, and then you can come up to MD, and you can
Yeah.
specialize. But you can
Is he,
specialize as a physician assistant. So
so he still does that for his
right now
major?
he does. He's a physician assistant, but he goes to he works for QTC, so he helps the physicals, the retirement physicals and medical physicals and whatever. So he's actually an independent contractor like I am,
Nice.
but he works his butt off. But he enjoys doing that. So he went to school and he decided to become a PA. He got that, and then he got stationed over there. He did his phase 2. Phase 1 was here. Phase 2 is in Killeen, which is now used to be Fort Hood. It's a new base now. I don't remember the new base name. They changed all the base names. So he was stationed there in Kalina, where he deployed again to Afghanistan.
Wow.
And and that's I was out. So there you go. And that's me being a military spouse while he's out. While
Yeah.
he's out deployed, and then he came back, and it's just military city here. They love their vets. It's a great place to be. There's so much to do for everybody, and we like the hot. Maybe not as much as not as hot as it gets sometimes, but I'm not going to where there's snow. I'm not interested. So
Yeah, we get snow. Not a lot of it, but enough where I have a snow blower in my garage.
yeah.
Yeah. And partially because I'm weak and I don't want to shovel, but that's a whole nother story. So yeah, but you and I both have done the same thing. I did last year, you did this year, where we decided to sell our previous house and
Mhm.
move into a new one.
Yeah.
And I get pool envy every time I see pictures of your pool. It,
Yes.
it is. So was that like that kick in the little took us reminder of what our clients are going through for what you went through and why rates aren't that big of a deal and all that stuff because you got the house you wanted?
Well, it's always a kick in the ticket because I've done it, obviously a couple of times, what I mean, as
Yeah.
far as moving here. When we got here, when we first PCS'd here, um, we bought our home down closer to Fort Sam. And I wasn't a realtor then, I mean, I had no, idea. And where we ended up, it was okay. It was a nice house. But, a couple of years later, we wanted to move elsewhere. Um, and and I was able to do that when I was a realtor. But it's always a pain. It's always a fresh reminder when you have your home up on the market how nerve-wracking the market is. So we've got my home up on the market now, and the market's slower, and so you get a little like, okay, is somebody gonna buy this?
You're like, please, sir, please, sir.
Please, somebody buy my house, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And moving is always the PIA, pain in the
Mhm.
ass. Sorry. So,
Hey,
yeah,
yeah.
especially because this last house we were in it for 13 years. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we have stuff, so.
Well, and like every other move, the military came in, they packed us up, and
Oh
then
yeah.
go
Yeah.
through it as I unpacked.
Hmm.
But then when it was me writing the check for the movers,
Hmm.
I made sure I went through everything and only packed what I wanted to keep.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, do I want to pay to move this? And if
Right.
the answer was no, it was either sold or donated or trashed.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And I
nope.
definitely get it. You mentioned, right, as far as I wanted to go back to your interest rate thing or
Yeah,
whatever. We're selling a home that we have a 3% interest rate on. And we
yeah,
got this one here, that I'm at now at like 6.25, I think, or 6.50, something like that,
yeah.
which is huge, right? And especially this is a bigger house, so more payment, right? Now, what's lucky for us is we're both 100% disabled vets, and in Texas, there's no property taxes. So property taxes, I mean, they can be pretty expensive here in San Antonio. I know there's some areas like if you go California or New
Mhm.
York or somewhere on the East Coast, your property taxes are ridiculous. Some places like in Colorado, I think our property taxes may be 1,000 a year. Well, here you know what I mean? So here in San Antonio, you're talking minimum, probably 8,000 a year for property taxes, right? So that's minimum.
See, I would
So,
have never guessed that.
huh?
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, I always have to have that nice little conversation because that's a huge, whenever you're getting a VA loan or an FHA loan, a government-backed loan, part of that is your property taxes and insurance. You have to have those escrowed. So a big part of your payment in San Antonio, is those property taxes and insurance. So your payment goes way up. So I have to have that nice little conversation with somebody. Why is my payment 2,000? Well, because six
Well,
hundred even as property taxes and insurance. So.
yeah, we were in Connecticut. Our house that we owned there was 100,000 less than the house we bought in Maryland at the time. Property taxes there were double what we paid in Maryland. And now with the house I'm in now, they're higher than the old one because I'm actually within a city limits.
Mhm.
Um, and but it blows my mind that y'all's taxes are so much higher because in Maryland our taxes are higher on everything. It's like no matter what, but you're taxed. So
Do you have a state tax there?
we do. And we have just about everything you can imagine taxed. But-
We don't have a state tax here in Texas, so the property owners pay. You know what I mean? So bottom line.
Yeah, thankfully, I want to say about 10 years ago, they removed what we call the rain tax, where you were taxed on the percentage of your property that was non-impervious, meaning the rain couldn't go straight down into it. And so wherever your pool was, your driveway, your house, you
Mhm.
were taxed on that. And so we got rid of that one, which is nice. But
Wow.
yeah, you can't make this up. You cannot make this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's I'm like, what rain tax? No, we got.
Ellie, yeah, Maryland was dealing with a rain tax. Congratulations.
It's
But
interesting.
yeah, so yeah, it's crazy. But like where we are, just like you, we've got so many bases nearby because we've got the Naval Academy, Fort Meade, Patuxent Naval Base, Pentagon, Coast Guard Headquarters, Patuxent Naval Base, and then the little one over in Indian Head. And then there's a lot of little ones around DC also. And you can't throw a stick without, hitting someone connected to the military,
Yeah.
whether it was their parents serving, them serving, or their child serving.
Mhm.
Someone's connected.
Yeah.
And just like y'all, I mean, VA is like one of our biggest, the veterans are our biggest market here
Mhm.
because they're either moving in, moving out, or retiring.
Yeah. Oh,
And
huge here. Yeah, I remember. I remember when I retired and I was like, ooh, I can get my retired Army sticker on the car and be matching everybody else, you know, retired Air Force or whatever. I mean, there's just, you know, a lot of retirees and family here. It's just military all over the place. I was shocked when I got my real estate license and I started, you know, selling anything and, you know, interacting with people in other states um, about how wary people are of VA loans in other states. I'm like, that's a normal loan here. If you like, it just blew my mind. I was like, it's a government backed loan. It's one of the best loans you can get. But I mean, in other states where, you know, especially the market was going crazy, they weren't accepting VA loans. I'm like, why? You know, they're, you know, scared of the appraisal process, scared of the inspection, scared of whatever. I'm like, oh, it's easy here. You wouldn't be able to sell your house if you didn't offer it to a vet here.
Well, and that's the thing is like, depending on where you are in Maryland, it's either more heavily military or not. But
Mhm.
up in Connecticut, when I started, VA loan was like the curse, and which was shocking because you have Groton Sub Base right there, and then Coast Guard Academy. So neither one of them are huge, but you still have quite a bit. And everyone's like, oh, the appraisal is going to come in lower. No, it's not. It comes in the exact same because they're looking the same data.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, well, we're gonna have to spend all this money to help a veteran buy. No, you don't. The only thing you had to do back then was pay for the termite, which was $60. And it's still, like I've got clients now that can qualify for a conventional loan, but because the rates are like 1% less on a VA loan, they're going VA.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't you? Yeah, it's a better rate, you know,
Yeah.
as far as that goes. I think I was it Olivia and I think it was Olivia and Trevor I was talking to that they almost didn't use their VA because they thought, you know, oh, you know, we want to put money down, so there's no reason to use your VA. And I was like, yes, first of all, the rate. Number two, if you do, you can still put money down on a VA loan. You know, you save on your funding fee. You know, if you do that. So,
It's just a lower funding fee.
you know.
And and then, like if you do have a disability, then the funding fee goes down anyway.
Well, you're not going to have a disability, and like, now if you're
Yeah, if
retired,
you're active duty, you
there
don't.
is
So yeah,
zero funding fee. So
yeah,
no funding fee on a disabled vet. At least 10%, no funding fee.
right. And
Same
that's
money.
huge.
Yeah, no, it's huge. And again, property taxes. Now, typically, when you're purchasing the home, the lender cannot add in the property, you know, the non-property taxes because you don't own the house. So once you own the house, then you can
Right.
go in for your exemption. And there's always so here we have homestead exemption. Everybody gets one. And then if you have a disability, any disability, 10%, 20, 30, whatever, you can still save on your taxes. Just 100% gets you no property taxes here.
Which is pretty awesome.
Well, yeah, you're saving a crap ton of money.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like like as you said, $8,000, that's $700 a month. That
Right.
it's almost
Exactly.
like a pay raise.
Now here in some outlying areas of San Antonio, there are things that we have property improvement districts or MUDs. We have some areas that have those. Now those are taxed as part of your property taxes, which, you know, so it's really important, you know, depending on where you're purchasing, that your realtor knows that's in one or not, because you're as a veteran, if you're 100% disabled, that is one part of your taxes that doesn't go away. So if you have, you know what I mean? So if you have a $3,000 a month PID, you know, in your taxes, you're going to pay that. So
So that's definitely something to make sure you're working with the right agent instead of just, someone goes, I got my military reload. Let's go.
I got my MRP. I had
You're
to
like,
get mine too. I
hey.
had to get mine, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm an MRP too. But but
I'm like, can I just get it out of default? And they're like,
yeah.
so I
Nope,
sat through
you
the
got to
little
get the
class.
certification and have people tell you all about the military. You're like, I know, I got it. Good.
Yeah.
Just give me my, can I get a credit? But
I'm pretty sure the teacher, when I took my class, they were like, okay, can we just get Robin out of here? We don't
yeah,
need to know any more real life experiences.
yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt. Well, it was funny because we had a civilian teaching ours. This is years ago when it first came out. I was like, okay, I have to get it. I remember she kept calling the BAH, you know, Baja, and I was like, what is Baja? Like, what is that? She goes, oh, the extra money. And I'm like, oh, BAH. Oh, okay. It's not Baja, but okay.
Yeah, there's no extra A.
There's no, I don't know what Baja is, but is this a new thing? Um, so it was a little annoying, but you get your certificate and you move on. At least it's one thing you can get, at least it's a basic. Like I said, I made I like for my team members to take it because a lot of my clients are military.
Mhm.
And so, and they say it's a niche market or whatever, and it really is. Whenever you get one military person talking to another, it's just easier. The conversation is easier,
It
you know,
is. I mean, I've got 3 military clients right now that are under contract that will not see their house until after settlement.
right? Yeah,
And I gotta tell you, that scares the bejeebies out of me. I'm like, what happens if you get here and you don't like it?
yeah.
What do we do?
No, we
You
don't do
know?
that. That's why I do a walkthrough. I think make sure you like it. I said, do you love it? Good, because you're buying it. Like when they come to town. But you
Well,
try to do as many video tours as you can and just really hope and around the area and just, and make sure, and I'm sure you know your area very
yeah,
well. So it's just so important. And I'm not saying there's like 15,000 agents here, and I'm sure there's way more, in San Antonio,
yeah,
and every one of them are experts in the military here. Yeah. They will all say that.
yeah,
But it's important for everybody to know, know the area. And because I've been in real estate and been
yeah,
here, so long, I work all around San Antonio. So, I mean, the whole metro area, there's probably not a place I don't know. Uh,
right.
and so when people go, I just got a referral, that I'm about to call, hey, do you sell in Castroville, Brenda? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Why don't see? Well, there's only because a couple of people buy out there. That's yonder, you know what I mean? But I don't go out there for well, I go out there for my clients.
Yeah,
Or
it's like go all the way to the end of the world and hang a left.
but you can travel, now I won't go as far as I could, so Texas license, I can sell in, Austin, Houston,
Yeah.
Dallas, I can sell anywhere in Texas, but I wouldn't go that far. Um,
And that's the same with me. It's like I sell in the areas I know.
mhm.
And I've had a couple of clients, one in particular who wanted to buy in Baltimore. I'm like, I know nothing about Baltimore, nothing. And she goes, well, that's okay. I do, real estate and I trust you. I'm like, all right, giddy up. Let's
Yeah,
go. But
yeah,
at least I'm transparent about it. And
yeah,
so I stick with 4 counties, and it's, basically what we call Southern Maryland and then Anne Arundel. But Anne Arundel is where Annapolis is, our capital. And it's, if you're looking at the Beltway, we're all to the east of it.
yeah,
And I typically don't go north of it. And I am licensed for Virginia, but once people see where the money gets them in Maryland, they never want to look at a house in Virginia.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough. It's Santa, you're unique, and well, like I said,
Yeah.
3 or 4 y'all up in there in Virginia area, so I just name y'all and y'all figure it out. But here, San Antonio, most of us can travel that metro, here in San
Yeah.
Antonio. You know what I mean? So it's real hard to like, say, hey, I only specialize in one area because it's just not with all the military bases and stuff like that. I have clients all over San Antonio. I mean, it is what it is.
It's a whole different beast.
Yeah,
And, but it's a fun beast.
yeah,
It
it is.
keeps me well entertained.
Yes.
Um, yeah. So what is your one thing that is your favorite part about San Antonio?
Oh shoot. Just one thing. I'm gonna say it's very see, it's hard to say. It's very friendly here. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
wouldn't, everybody's just got a really good, and I won't say everybody, but it's just everybody's very, very friendly here. You'll notice that if you come here to San Antonio, everybody's like, "Good morning, how you doing?" Everybody's
Mhm.
happy. My uncle just came to visit from New York, and so I lived there for a time being too when I was little. And he came and he was just loving the sunshine. And he goes, y'all are happy all the time because it's sunny out here. And he goes, it's just, people are in sunshine are happier usually. You know what I mean? They're not, and so I guess that would be my favorite part. And just all the things, we've got something for everybody out here. It's bottom line. Yeah.
The one thing that shocked me the most, because I went to San Antonio many, many, many years ago for ERA convention.
Mhm.
and I went to the Alamo, and I'm expecting this huge place.
Yeah.
It's this little bitty house, and
Yeah.
like I was like, "That's it?
Yeah.
That?"
Everybody's a little bit like underwhelmed when they see the Alamo, but
But it was so cool to see it too. And then you're thinking, it's like, because I've known the stories ever since you're little, you hear about it,
yeah.
and it's like defend the Alamo, we got this.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, I can't imagine them being in this little place fighting and defending it, and you know holding strong.
Yeah. Well, they did. I
Yeah,
think
they
it was smaller back then anyway, so or whatever. We
did.
noticed in like some of the older houses, I
Uh-huh.
don't know the trend, but a lot of the like, in the bathrooms, the counters are very, very low.
Yes.
And everybody's like, so why? And I said, I think people were shorter then. I don't know, because now, they're up higher, but so maybe that's why.
It's yeah, it's like the daily dose of Miracle Grow we just take, keep growing
I
taller and
guess.
taller. Yeah.
Could be.
I say, because aside from maybe my cousin, I think I'm one of the tallest ones, females in my family. My mom is only 5'4", 5'5". My daughter's 5'3". I feel like the Jolly Green Giant around them. But thankfully my brother's 6'4".
Oh,
So it's
wow.
like, yeah.
My mom was 5'1.5", so she was tall or short. I'm sorry. I'm 5'4". I think I might have shrunk. And they say as you get older, you lose.
Yeah. It's my grandma in North Carolina. She was only 4'11". So yeah. But so if you were talking to someone who was in the military now and they were thinking about getting out and getting into real estate, what would you tell them?
Getting out and getting into real estate.
Yeah.
Um, well, getting your license is typically fairly simple. You know what I mean? Obviously, go to school and get that knocked out. Um, but I guess I would sit down personally and talk to somebody, and whenever anybody comes to me and talks to me about real estate, I tell them it costs a lot of money to be in real estate. You know what I mean? There's a lot you need to know.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's not HGTV where you're showing 3 homes and we're all rolling around in the dough.
Would that
Um,
be awesome?
that would be fabulous. And just you really, it's hard to say, but you just really need to do a few deals and really find out if you like it or not. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot more involved than people think it is. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, my daughter was all set to move home from Alabama and get her license and work for me
mhm.
until she was home the other week and helped me stage a house for 2 hours. And she goes, "You do this all the time, like every house." She goes, Not for me, mom, not for me." I'm like,
Yeah. Well, it
I'm
just
like,
kind of
I'm like,
depends, you know what I mean? Staging, or it's just basically you just have to be able to deal with the emotions of people and then also know how to guide them through whatever the transaction is, be it buyer or seller, for your respective state. So, I mean, there's a lot of pieces to it. You know what I mean? And it's buying a home or selling one are two big, huge investments, you know what I mean? And it's just not, that's why you love these, other brokerages, hey, just fill on the internet what you want, and you know what I mean, easy, and you can just sign some paperwork and be on, and people try to say that it's not complicated or whatever. There's just so many different aspects to it that being able to be a leader and guide somebody through that transaction and have them trust you is just a big deal. And it takes obviously a lot of practice and a lot of years and a lot of experience, in my opinion. And obviously it's gonna, you got to do a few deals, whatever, but to get into real estate, especially in today's market where, I mean, we're being attacked as an industry.
we
So
are.
on
And
that bandwagon. But
um,
um,
and the other part too is, most 99% of the time, our clients have no idea what happens behind the scenes.
yeah,
They don't see how the sausage is made.
yeah,
They just get that delicious dinner put in front of them and go, awesome, this is great.
yeah.
But once in a while, they get the glimpse behind the scenes and
Mm,
they're, and I'm like, oh, relax. I'll bring you a wine and a straw. You'll be fine.
yeah.
And yeah,
We're over here chugging wine.
well,
we just got so many different personalities we have to deal with, from our clients to, title people, to the other agents, to the lenders, to the,
Mhm.
to everybody, and just knowing each step of the way. So real estate is, I love it. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
been doing it for, this many years if I didn't. It is not easy money. And if you come into it thinking you're going to be so disillusioned and so upset, it's going to cost you a lot of money up front. So save up. And then and just hang in there. And if and once you do a couple of deals, if you find out you really love it and you can help somebody, it's one of the best careers ever. I love it.
That's the thing, is like, there's nothing I feel better than when I leave a settlement table, see my client happy and, so excited because either they got the keys to their new house or they got out of a house that no longer fits them.
Mhm.
They were content with it.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things. It's like you walk away and like, I made someone's life better. And, it's not about the pay, because God knows some of these deals, by the time we get to settlement, we make less than we would have made working at Walmart. Okay, let's be fully transparent about
Talking about, per
it.
hour for sure.
Yeah, and you
Everybody thinks we get that big paycheck, but if you see all the hours we worked, beforehand,
yeah,
it just depends. It's sort of like military pay. For those of us that, that have been in the military and used to get that statement, that annual statement
yeah,
that's we earned like $1 million per year. You know what I mean? Because we paid for your housing. Remember, you're
right.
older 24/7. But if you broke that down per hour, you're making peanuts. So
Yeah, because
same kind of thing.
y'all were 24/7, 365.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is.
Um,
They would give you this annual statement. Look how much money you made, and we're okay. I don't see it. But,
like, please, because it's
yeah,
like with my ex, it's like I remember he had to leave birthday parties to go deal with stuff, um, dealing with sick babies. I'm on my own. There was no way to help. And with y'all, I know it was 10,000 times tougher because you're over in Iraq having your family deal with your babies.
yeah.
Yeah, that I'm sure they were sick at the time. They were sad. They were lonely, you know, got in trouble.
Yeah, when you can't have that or what. And I always say that, and I've been on both sides. You know what I mean? I've been deployed and I've been home. While my
Yeah.
spouse, has been deployed. So uh, I personally think it's always tougher for the person staying home. Because you've got everything to deal with. Yeah, does it suck being, having a mortar dropped on you and you don't. Yes, it does, but it wasn't like 24/7. You know what I mean? A lot of boredom, a lot of heat. You know what I mean? Yes, there's scary times. Yes, there, I was a medic, the injuries that I had to deal with, and it can be stressful out there. But when you're home dealing with everything else, plus the, stress of your spouse being over there, because you don't know if they're gonna, make it. You know what I mean? You don't know if that's happening, and you got kids, school, doctor's appointments. You got your own job. Of course, I was still active. Either if I was active duty or not, I still had to work. Even when I retired, it's not like I could lay in the lap of luxury. Military retirement isn't all that.
You mean you're not
So
sitting around every day eating bonbons by the pool, sipping wine and going, how
yeah,
how does
yeah.
the
Watching all my shows. No.
yeah,
So
no,
I always felt it was harder to be the person staying back. You got to deal with everything. So
yeah. Well, I do appreciate what you've done because again, I was not willing to put my name on that check. You were. And I love getting to know you more and more, and I cannot wait to see you on Sunday when we're in Tahoe.
oh, it'll be fun. I can't
The
wait.
countdown is on.
Huh?
Um, the countdown is on.
Yes, it
So
is.
yeah, it's so I know people are asking us like what? So we will be at the Remax luxury event in Lake Tahoe that will be there Sunday till Thursday, learning and bonding and networking and possibly consuming an adult beverage or two. And getting to know other Remax agents better. Um, but again, learning. We will learn. We will learn something new.
We
Yeah.
always learn something and always
Yes.
meet great people. That's where I met Robin. You know what I mean? At some kind of conference, I'm sure. So it was either R4 or Elite. I don't remember which.
Yeah, it is. The one thing I like about luxury is I take what I learned there and I apply it to all my clients
Oh yeah, definitely.
because,
Yeah.
you know, just because you're selling a $300,000 house doesn't mean you should be treated different than someone selling a 3 million.
Right,
Um,
right. Well, that's why
So
luxury is so crowded this year is because everybody thought, they didn't want to go because they thought, oh, I got to be a luxury agent to, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's different in every market. Here it's above 700,000. I think, it's gone up. But your market's probably got to be a million at least.
So it's each zip code has its own price tag. Like
Yeah.
I
We have the
got
same thing.
one, yeah, I have one on the market right now in Bryantown that is technically luxury because the cap there is 820. We have it at 850. And no, I did not know 820 was a cap when we listed it. Yeah, I
Mhm,
gave the data to my seller and he picked the number like he should.
mhm.
And then I have another one hitting the market probably next week, which may make it really fun. And that's a waterfront in Pasadena. That'll be 1.2.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
again, yeah, that one again that area is 820 also. So I'll end up with two luxury listings right now, but also have some other great ones too that, are selling and working with military buyers as they're trying to get find a house before the movers show up to where they are now.
Yep.
And it's probably the most stressful time right now for a lot of buyers right now. It's like, where am I gonna move to?
Well, that was always fun, like I was saying, I don't know
Yeah.
how much time we have left, but before,
Yeah.
when we were moving out here, the first time Fort
Mm.
Sam, and buying a house, like I said, we bought that one house, little DR Horton home, brand new. I flew my husband out to see it right before we bought
Yeah.
it. I mean, flew him out really quick to see it, and he loved it. Tip, don't do that. You do it.
Well, and that's the thing is, all right, so we bought our house in Norfolk.
Mhm,
My ex picked it. It
mhm.
was not my style. It was not the location I wanted. It was too small. And it turns out that the lady that lived there for 20 years. She hated her second husband because he did some horrible things. So she didn't touch the house for 20 years.
Hmm.
As we're on our way down to look at it, she dies in the hospital. And so we get there, it's got lime green carpet through half the house, bright red in the other half.
Uh,
A hole in the roof. Though she had smoked for 20 years in the house, so everything was nicotine covered.
oh my
And
goodness.
and
That
I'm
sounds
looking around
horrible.
at these tall pine trees and just pine needles everywhere. And my ex goes, I love it. I go, because we can put a little money into it, we can fix it up, it'll be nice.
Yeah, you have to put a lot of money into it. Well, at least the home we bought was brand new. But that's how, we didn't know. At least I had somebody go out there and do that. Now, again, 5 years down the road, we moved up and
Yeah.
again, back when I bought, interest rates were about the same, about 6.5%
The
when we
first
bought
three,
in.
yeah, first three houses we bought and the one I have now were all 6 and 7/8. But I would say this, and I know this is being recorded, so he can go back and watch this over and over and over again. He was right about that house because we bought it in June of '02, just before the market went crazy, and then we sold it in May of '06. So we sold it for more than double what we bought it for, even though we put like 80,000 into it.
Right.
And we went to settlement. I remember it's like right around our anniversary, so it was middle of May. The buyer was on their way in July to the house when they got orders and redirected them to Newport instead of Norfolk.
Hmm.
And then the bubble in Norfolk crashed, exploded. So the house went from here to here overnight.
Oh, wow.
And they were forced to rent it out because they couldn't sell it. They couldn't do anything with it and they weren't moving there. And I was
Well,
like,
anyway, yeah, that was a bad time. And so we kind of missed all that, right? So we bought that house and we were fine. And then we moved. Um, But I think that's when I got my real estate license is when kind of that crash happened, right? 2007-ish, whatever. And so I didn't really know, as a real estate agent, what was going on because I just didn't, I rented out the house, not a big, when we moved. So that was fun trying to get people, but then, interest rates were low as heck, you know what I mean? So, it was,
Yeah, I got my license in January of '07 and the bubble burst in Connecticut around October of '06.
Yeah.
So I never knew what it was like to work in a seller's market until
And
COVID.
I was jealous, everybody talking about all that seller's market until the last
Yeah.
couple of years after COVID. That was crazy.
Yeah, but meanwhile, I'm like, I was mostly a buyer's agent. I'm like, this is awesome. Best buyer's market ever. We're in there playing the limbo game, going, how low will you go?
Yeah,
And
yeah, it was
yeah,
interesting then. But yeah, I didn't know. But I didn't know, the crash or whatever, had to learn how to do short. I mean, I came up on short sales and
yep.
that stuff, whatever. So this market here doesn't hurt my feelings too bad. I still think it's different. It's certainly a different market, but the people that were, I guess, agents in the 80s when that first dot-com bubble crash or whatever, whatever, they're like no
Yeah,
big
they
deal.
had it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had it fun. Um, so anyway, well, I'm so grateful you came on because you have such a unique story, between the single mom, the active duty, the married, the retired, the realtor, the moving everywhere, and bring such an amazing experience to the table that no one else can touch. You know, plus you give your clients the best experience they could possibly get in San Antonio. So, and
I
I
try.
appreciate
I
that.
try. Yeah. Hopefully
Yeah.
Olivia and Trenton thinks so too. They're amazing. I love working with them. So
And she sent me a text. She goes, she's awesome. So I appreciate it. And I will see you Sunday.
yes,
And
ma'am.
it's like the countdown is on.
What time do you get in? Because we're all riding together, right, with Kelly Sue?
Yeah, we land at 12:45.
I'll be there at 11:45. So I'll probably already have like just a glass of water or something while I'm waiting.
Yeah, I'm not driving. So
Exactly.
yeah, and yeah, I may have the espresso martini to keep me awake on the drive. But again, not driving. So keep your
Not
little
driving.
judgy selves in place. And and clients will be taken care of. So again, calm
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, that's what I told all my clients. Listen, I'm going to, out of town, but I always bring my laptop and my phone. I'm never always. I'm
Yep,
always
I'll have my laptop, I'll have my iPad, I'll have my phone, I'll have my watch. I have my assistant here, and then Chrissy on my team will be able to step in if I need her to. So,
I do have
um,
two buyers agents. They need to show some. That's for
yeah. And just for the record, I do appreciate you matching your background with my shirt.
I
This,
did. I did. I really,
yeah,
you
it's, we're keeping it all color coordinated. The only thing is I should have had a blue chair to match your shirt instead
yeah,
of
I should
green
have
one.
been.
It's, I didn't
I
think that.
just got my hair did for this because normally my hair only looks good after my hairdresser gets to it because
Well,
you're going to see the normal curls and the whatevers.
now I'm letting mine grow out if I can stand it. So, yeah, it's like my dog's calling. I'm like, dude, you know where I am. Yeah. So anyway, I adore you and I will see you Sunday. And
Ma'am.
then we will have a blast and we will share lots of pictures appropriately and catch up. All
Okay. All right. Thanks for
right.
having me on, Robin. I truly appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
See you later. All right.
Bye-bye.